are Confessional Magazine, and this is More to the Story, brought to you today by Iris and Bo, whose toner helps keep my laugh lines in check, because you never know what our guests are going to say. Visit irisandbo.com today and use code CONFESSIONAL for 20% off.
So much love in this heart of mine.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Confessional Magazine. I'm Taylor. This is More to the Story, and I'm here today with Alex Freeman. Thank you so much for being here today, Alex.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. So Alex is a very talented singer and songwriter, and she's also the face for the Association of Suicide Prevention. She's the teen face, and this is just so many things that we have to get into because we have your songs, we have your music, but we also have your philanthropy that is just so incredible and such an important thing right now. So Alex, how did you first get into the music industry?
I started getting into the music industry actually when I was about 5 years old. I wrote my first song, which was an anti-bullying anthem because I was bullied and I didn't want people to feel the way that I did. My parents were like, you have two choices. You can be a victim or you can make a change. And I was like, well, I want to make a change. So my way was through writing a song. And as I was about 7 years old, I released it along with 3 other songs. And from there, I went through all kinds of schools and summer camps and all kinds of huge performances where I was able to talk about anti-bullying and all of the things around that and being goal-oriented and everything. And from there, it turned into other songs that I released when I was younger also. But we took those all down once I released Paper Mask because it's a different platform and I'm involved with different causes now. I mean, I most definitely am still involved with anti-bullying and everything, but I felt like there's a lot of other stuff I'm involved with now. But for me, being involved with the music industry, I think is such an important thing for me because that's my way to express however I feel. I'm a very emotional person that doesn't like to be emotional. So being able to write about anything that I'm feeling and not actually have to talk about it, I think is so much easier. So it's like my creative outlet for everything.
Isn't that such an interesting thing? Because I'm kind of the same way. I'd rather almost perform in front of strangers than people that know me. It's like you want to like protect yourself. So how do you find the courage to, I mean, you're affected by all of these feelings when you're putting in your work for writing this music and these words. How do you find the courage to then share it with everyone? Because it's one thing to be able to write it, but then to be like, okay, the world can hear this. How do you pull out that strength?
There's a couple of interesting ways that I go about that because I have some songs that like I have some really dramatic friends that have a lot going on in their social life, and I'll steal their stories and be absolutely fine with being like, okay, this is about you. You know it's about you. I'm releasing it. And then I have stuff that's like completely based around me that I'm like, I don't know if I want people to hear this. And then there's other stuff like Somebody, which is a song I wrote for suicide prevention. And that song hasn't been released. I want to release it next year once I have more audience to be able to listen to it and I can talk about the cause behind it more. So there's a lot of stuff that's super personal, and then there's other stuff that like I'll work with a writer and we'll be like, oh, let's talk about like a boy, but like in this way. And we'll be like, I like that. Let's go with that. So, and the thing is like, I don't really have a social life. So when we're like, okay, let's write about a boy, I'm like, okay, I know about 6, don't like any of them, but okay. So it depends on what the song is about and what the feeling is behind it and how in touch I am with the emotion going on behind it. But I always try to put in elements that make it special to me that I can relate to more than I hope other people can relate to, but like I'm proud of myself that I relate to the situation that I wrote. So it depends on like how that goes. But if it's a song that I'm like incredibly emotionally attached to, sometimes I just want to release it and be like, okay, like I hope other people can relate to this as much as I can so that people can see like I'm not just the bubbly pop singer that I can actually write to. I can do everything around being in the music industry. I can produce, I can write, I can do all of that. But people just normally see me as like this little bubbly pop artist that can't do anything else. So having songs that I've like completely written on my own, like there's this one song that I stole from my friend. Well, I stole the concept from my friend, and she liked this guy and she thought they were dating and they weren't. And I was like, everybody can tell you that you're not. Just felt like I was trying to be so supportive, and I was like, okay. And then she realized like what was going on. And I was like, and she goes, I'm so sick of stupid guys. And I'm like, that's a song name right there. I'll call you back in an hour. Had the entire song written out. I was flying to New York the next day and I recorded it and we finished the song within like 24 hours. So it was really fun. But like that one I want to release so bad, but I want to reproduce it. And every time I get it reproduced, I'm like, I'm not happy with it. I want to do it again. So as soon as that song is done, I want it out. But all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but so there's so much depth to you. So you're like involved in all aspects of your music and going into this. And that's such an inspiration for other young, not even artists, but just young people looking up to like, I can do this. She's doing it. I can do it too. So who would you say were your like inspirations or influences growing up that you would look up to, like both musically or just in the entertainment industry or the world, someone that you would look up to for your guidance and just wow?
Yeah. I gotta say, like vocally, I would like for everything, like to do any type of runs, I am incredibly inspired by Christina Aguilera, Amy Winehouse, Sam Cooke for his phrasing, like everything that like when he sings a song, like the melodic like phrasing of everything is fantastic. And Otis Redding, all of that stuff. For music, I love oldies. Like they're not technically completely considered oldies yet, but they still are a little bit. But so I would say that group, and then performance wise, Britney Spears and Beyonce. Like I watched some of their shows, and like Madonna, all of them like that kind of like make crazy shows that like you can't take your eyes off the screen for a second when they perform. Is like I love that so much, and I love performing. Like that's my like one of my favorite parts about being an artist is being able to perform. And it's so sad with COVID. I was like, I had so many performances set up, and then they're like, okay, we can't do it. I was like, oh my god.
Right. So speaking of COVID, you set a pretty crazy goal for yourself going into COVID. Can you tell us about this?
Absolutely. So going into COVID, I had a lot of like I wanted to work on being like a better songwriter and a better producer and being a better artist overall and work on instruments and everything. So anything that I could do to be a better artist and work on my skill set, I wanted to do during COVID. I was like, I got time. I'm homeschooled. I don't have to worry about any of it. Like it's crazy to think like so many people were doing so much and still going through school and working. Like for me, I'm homeschooled. I do like 4 things on my computer for like a day and then everything else is done.
Right.
So I was like, okay, so I want to work on singing and everything. And I was like, no, what? My goal is to write 20 songs. And I did. And I surpassed it by more than double. I have about 55 songs that I wrote during the span of like, well, still we're in COVID still. So I guess more than that. I just stopped counting at March. I was like, I had my producers that I flew in for March. And I was like, no, what? Let's just work for an entire week. And we did. So I got like, we overall wrote 15 songs then, and I only count the 6 that we finished, but we wrote 15. So there's so many that I don't even count, but like my 55 are my finished songs that I am ready to release whenever I get a chance.
So I have to ask, do you write the word, like do the words typically come to you first and then you put in the music? Or are you more of like the music kind of like you feel a beat and then you're like, oh, like I've got a story for this?
I am that person that like I love having good lyrics, but for me, I think the sound is so important. I am mainly like my thing is I want to put down the best possible melody I can and then from there get great lyrics, but I want a really good beat, a really good track going on that I'm like, okay, I like this. This makes me feel like we should write on this, like whatever the feeling is that I want to kind of express through that, I'll decide from like melody or from the sound of it. Like me and my producers will all my producer and co-writer, we sit down and we'll be like, okay, what are we gonna write on? We're like, we have no idea. Okay, so let's see, let's play some chords. What do we like? I'm like, I like that one. We'll record it, we'll add a little beat, and they're like, Alex, melody, go. Like that's my strong suit. I think that for me, like being able to put down something that like, because I'm a riffy human being. Like I grew up listening to Christina Aguilera 15,000 times a day. So I feel like for me, like if I can just do anything possible, I'll just riff it and like, we'll see how that goes. And they'll be like, let's keep this part. And then everybody in the room does a melody. And then from there, we'll be like, okay, I think this is what we should talk about here. Try an entire thing. We'll all write through it and we'll all have our own little notes and then we'll all send them to each other and be like, I like this part. Let's keep this here. take this part, and then let's all mix it together, and then we'll rewrite it, and then we'll do it again. So all of that work, it's a bit, but it's really fun. And I think that being able to start with music is really, really important to me. I have started with just lyrics before, but for me, I just feel like I connect with the song. Like I like the like experience of just being like, okay, this sounds so good, let's add to it, type of thing.
The journey of the actual music turning into a song.
Right, yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So what advice would you give to a younger person trying to make it in this industry or just finding their voice of self-confidence?
Right. In this industry, it's a crazy, crazy place. But I think that working every single day and practicing and like no matter what happens, like I've been told so many times that like you're never gonna make it anywhere. Like it's stop, it's not worth it. And I'm that person. If you tell me I can't do something, I will do it more than you can ever imagine. So being able to like just consistently practice and go and like do the best you possibly can every single day. If you want to play an instrument, you got to practice the instrument, or otherwise you're not going to be able to play it. You can't play like one string and be like, bam, I'm done. I am everything. You have never seen anyone better. You can't do that. You got to practice every day. So it's constantly and consistently practicing, and that's what changes everything.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. So how can people find your music, and what music release dates do you have coming up?
Okay, so you can find my music on, if you search on any like music platform, search Alex Freeman, that's me. You can find me there, and you can pretty much just go on my website too. You can find everything there. But I do have the release date for Oh Baby on August 27th, and I'm super, super excited about that because I get to release a song that like literally has nothing. Like most of my songs have like really like a big meaning behind it, and this song is literally just about liking somebody and being like, okay, like, ooh, like I have this one line in the song that's like, when you're pulling up in your Chevy, make me feel like falling confetti. And me and the writers were like, oh my God, like I love that. And we were like, I feel like it's an equivalent to like having butterflies, but like in an excited way. Like,
Yeah.
I can't speak when I like somebody. So it's like that feeling of like, oh my God, I got butterflies right now, but like in a more excited way. So we kind of made our own expression from it. And I don't know if that was actually an expression before, it probably was, but we were like, ooh, I like this.
No, it's yours now.
Sounds good.
Well, that is super exciting. And so people can also follow you on Instagram.
Yes, my Instagram is Alex Freeman Rocks, and from there you can also find all my other social media platforms.
Amazing. So is there anything else that you would like to share with us about any musical, just things coming up or events now that, I mean, I hate saying this because the world starts opening up and then it closes and then it opens up. But do you have anything live coming up?
Well, I'm supposed to be doing either New York Fashion Week on the week of 9/11, so that's going to be interesting.
That's huge.
So I got to walk Fashion Week last year, right before, like in February, right before COVID hit,
Wow.
in the US. So I was going to perform, and then I was like, you know what? There's a lot of other people performing, and I actually had a friend that I was working with at the time who was performing, and he was like, Alex, like I have this huge set going on. What do we think? And I was like, take your time, do your set. You're going to be fantastic. I'll just walk. And then he was like, okay. So I thought that was really, really cool to be able to be offered to, but I didn't end up doing it. I was really excited. I met this designer that I adored. So I walked for her company, and she goes, next year, anytime you want, you can sing, you can perform, you can walk, whatever you want to do. So I might be performing there in September, but I might be doing KidsCon in LA, and Kids Expo in Orlando, and then also doing, I believe it's the Skechers event. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure on that, but maybe.
This is so exciting. So, I mean, you can just be found all over the place. So everybody really just needs to check out Alex Freeman, follow her music, follow her story, because she's just really spreading not only just awareness for just like self-love and that it's okay to not be okay, but also like look at how okay and joyous it can be when you are sharing music with people. So just thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your story with not just me, but with our listeners and with the rest of the world, because everybody's going to be hearing your voice. So
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Perfect.
Bye.
So much love in this heart